Web3 has got a huge opportunity for entertainment. And in the past, we've talked a lot on this show about how comic books are going to be completely revolutionized in this Web3 world. And today we have an old friend of the Bad Crypto podcast, Mr. Geoff McCabe, the founder of the Divi Project, is with us. And now he has not only continued to succeed with Divi, but he has launched into the Web3 world with lightningworks.io. This is a comic book platform that I think is going to blow you guys away. Geoff, welcome to the Nifty Show.
Hi, it's great to be here. I haven't been on your show for a while, though I see you all the time in Puerto Rico and around the world.
It's great. It's great being here. And I remember you reached out to me probably a year ago and told me that you were building this platform, and now the platform is alive. You've done your first NFT sale. I'm going to pull it up on screen here so people can get a look at it. The website is lightningworks.io. Legendary stories told through interactive comics, NFTs, and Web3 gaming. So go ahead and tell us what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is the Lightning Works website. Lightning Works is actually, we simplified it to not try to do too many things at once. We're still probably doing too many things at once, but Lightning Works is actually a technology company. So it's around Web3 entertainment. So we have a game, we have other games in development, we have the comic books, and then we have our IP company where we're building like the characters and the stories and the comic books. That's called Amped. We're kind of ignoring Amped right now because when you try to do too much at once, then everybody just kind of gets confused and runs away. So we're just calling it Lightning Works right now. But we have a lot going on, and we're building like a whole ecosystem. So it's much more than just comics, but the comics are what's exciting people right now. A lot of people don't understand that comic books are just, the market for comic books is in the multiple billions, but the IP around comic books, we're talking about Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, and stuff for kids. And we're talking about Archies and Winnie the Pooh, like all this kind of stuff. This is $100 billion plus industry. We're talking about hundreds of billions, maybe even $1 trillion if you really add it all up with all the merchandise and all this kind of stuff. So much of that whole universe that's very big comes from the stories and the characters that are first developed in comic books. And you kind of have these hardcore fans that love these comic books, that collect them, that fall in love with the characters, that kind of adopt these characters like a family member, because many people fall in love with these characters when you're young, when you're a kid. And these are characters that stick with you your whole life. And so we're basically doing that in Web3 and using technology in Web3 in new ways to help us develop characters and creating stories. Technology to let other people develop stories. So ultimately what we're trying to do is a Web3 version of comics, where we're doing with comics the way crypto is replacing money in many ways. So that we're trying to have tools that make it much easier for people to develop their own comic books, their own stories, and their own characters using NFT technology.
And that's what you've done. You did an NFT launch to kind of kick things off here, and that's what we're looking at right here on the screen right now. The world's first interactive NFT comics, and I think you did the first run of them was 777, right? 10% of the supply for the passes.
Yeah, so 777 is what we did, and we did something new in NFT world that's commonly done in crypto, where we did a certain Genesis mint, and then over the next 7 years, the company and the DAO will get more of these over time, so that it kind of gives us a war chest to play with. And we wanted to do that especially because everyone was talking about removing the royalties out of this, so we wanted to make sure that we would have money coming in. So basically we start with 777 of the Genesis. Over time, it will build up to 1,227. So we're adding like 400 something more. It's not a gigantic growth in the amount. They'll still be very scarce compared with what the utility is, and what these portals have is a new type of utility that I think is going to become a very important part of the entire NFT space. Basically, if you own one of these portals, you become a distributor of our NFTs. specifically in the case of our portals, are full-size comic books. So if you own one, then a certain percentage of all of our mints in forever for the company in our comic books will be distributed through the portal holders. The company will have 1/3, 2/3 goes to the portal holders, which means you're going to be getting free comics and you're going to be getting half-price comics that you can distribute. We think this is really important because right now, if you buy an NFT, you basically have to sort of sit around and wait for the founders of it to somehow create some value. Maybe if you're lucky, it's a Bored Ape and it creates its own value sort of magically. People want it and it becomes a global phenomenon. But for the most part, people are sitting around and waiting for the founders to create some utility to give it value, which makes it a security. What we've done is turn that around. We think this is sort of a part of the way Web3 should be with comics and with NFTs, where if you own one of these, you become a distributor for the company. And you're the one creating the value because you can choose whether you want to mint. It's like, for example, let's say we sell 10,000 of one of our comics in the future. 2/3 of that would be 6,666. And that would be distributed through the portal holders, depending on which tier of portal you have, whether it's common or legendary or anything in between, will tell you how many that you're allowed to mint. So, for example, if we had 10,000 and you had, I'm just making up numbers now, and you had a rare portal, you might have 15 of the comics that are assigned to you. So you get to choose what you want to do with those. You could either mint them and keep them. You could mint them and keep all the rares and legendaries and the ones you really want, and sell out the others. You can use the tools we'll be building to assign them to your subscribers. So you can basically act like we call it a comic book shop, a Web3 digital comic book shop. So you can basically set up a comic book store and distribute through that and do like a normal comic book store would do, where you have people that come in every month, they buy their comics, or they even have a box and they show up and you have them sort of stored for them and you hand them over the counter. We've replicated the entire comic book experience in Web3 in a way that nobody's ever done before, which will give phenomenal value. I mean, the numbers are very large when you start looking at what these portals could be worth to somebody that is actively using it to distribute. Now,
So these here, I just want to be clear, owning one
Yeah.
of these portals, it kind of gives you skin in the game for the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, and think about it. And you think about it, what it does is it creates advocates for us, for Lightning Works. We will have, if things go the way we want, 777 holders that are now promoting the company, which is what you need. But there's a problem with the NFT space. There's a crucial problem.
Just one?
Well, there's so many. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. You know, I was actually with Travis just like last week, I think, and we're sitting on stage together talking about this, and we had very little time to go over it. But one of the major problems, and nobody talks about this, is just the fact that if you're trying to build IP around this NFT set that you have. You sell 10,000 of them, but you really need like 1 million people. You need a way to bring in millions of people into your ecosystem that want to buy this somehow. And there's just nothing there. First of all, you can't sell millions of NFTs because it'll just create too many. And when it floods the market, and people are in this for the money for the most part. They're not really collecting them for the art. We've solved that problem in a different way. But the main thing is to realize that the whole NFT system that's been devised, which I think, like, you and I were in this very early, and then all of a sudden this Bored Apes thing and this JPEG thing just appeared out of nowhere and like took over the whole scene. And now 99% of the world thinks that NFTs are JPEG apes, right? That's literally what they think they are.
Right.
It's become the brand of NFTs, which is unfortunate. But my point is that it doesn't work. I mean, it just doesn't work. The whole tokenomics and the game, and there's no gamification of that. So what we've done is we've made it where we have a 2-tier system, where we have our Polygon comic books that are sold for between $1 and $3 in very large quantities, like 100,000, could even be more, depending on what the market will bear. Just like Marvel and DC do. When they sell comics, they say, okay, how many are we going to sell of these? They will print as many as they can basically afford. They send them to all the comic book stores. The comic book stores have 2 or 3 months to sell them. If they don't sell them, they send them back. And so you have this supply. We don't have that in the NFT world, right? So we developed that where we have our collector's items in Ethereum, which have really high resolution. They have interactivity. They have utility. They're animated. They're really quite amazing pieces of technology, each one of our comic books. I don't know if you can show there, if you could find like one of the covers.
Well,
to show there on the screen.
I see a few covers right here. Siege Worlds, Throne, Moon One. Are these actual comics
Yeah,
that
so
are
those
coming?
Yeah, so those are actual covers that will be coming. You can see that they're animated. Stuff also can be interactive because our stuff is HTML5. So that allows us to do all kinds of really cool things. Anything you can do on a website, we can do in our comic books, which opens up an incredible world of creativity for different creators. So anyway, I want to get back to this point because it's really important about the portals and how the ecosystem we're developing, I believe, is the future of the entire NFT space. And a lot of people like yourself that actually take the time to take a deep look at it, get really excited about NFTs again, because I realize we've solved all the problems. I talked to one of the Rug Radio team a few days ago, and he told me, he said they've been sitting around, like the whole team, like realizing that these problems in the NFT space and not knowing what to do, how to fix them. And when I explained what we're doing, they got really excited about it because they're like, you guys have solved this problem for the first time. And it's basically what's going to bring back the next bull run. So that's why I wanted, like, we only have 30 minutes, but I have a lot to talk about to explain like how we've done all this, because there's about 6 or 7 different things we've done that are all new technologies, and
Let me guide
are all
here a little
important.
bit so we
Yeah.
can get to the thing, because if I'm curious about it, I'm sure our listeners are. First
Yeah.
question I have, this is actually twofold, part of the same question. When will the first comic release, the cover in the comic, and then when can creators make comics that will then operate on the system?
Okay, so our first comic is we're calling Siege World Zero. We're trying to get it done by December 27th, but like half the team's on vacation right now. So we're just like a few days away really from doing our first comic. Planning to do 7,777 on Ethereum and 100,000 on Polygon. And the thing is that one of the things we've had to step away from is this idea that's in the NFT space, that you need to sell out your collection in 24 hours or your
Right.
collection is shit,
Right.
right? That's impossible right now, unless people are manipulating and buying up their own stuff, which is what's happening right now. Most of the NFT companies that we see, we believe that are successful, or basically have VCs that are coming and buying up all the supply to make it look. So we're basically just decided, like, don't expect a sellout. We're going to sell it out over time. We're going to do more like an EOS model where the price goes up over time. But what we've introduced in a way that another thing that makes all this work is there's several things that are absolutely key. We've introduced what's called forging. And what forging does is it allows you to take your commons or your uncommons and take 3 of them, basically burn them, and then the smart contract mints a new one. So, for example, if you take 3 commons, you send them to an address through our app, and then it will mint you a new one, and that was guaranteed to be a tier above. So if you start with 3 commons, you'll either get an uncommon, an epic, a legendary, or like this.
You're talking to the guy who pioneered that, right?
Right,
We did
exactly.
that
But
on
this
wax.
is something that should have become an incredibly important pillar of the entire NFT community, and somehow you guys did it really early, and then everyone ignored it. I don't know
Well,
why.
there's certain collections like the sewer rats have been doing that for a while, and there's a couple other collections that basically it's a way to lower supply and
Right.
increase value. And I think especially with this, it's a great way, because if somebody gets commons and they're like, I want to be a higher level distributor, and get more royalties, so to speak, then forging is important.
But it's also just important because any type of collectible has reducing supply over time. If you think, and that's part of what makes it fun and collectible, is that over time they get damaged, they get lost, they get stolen, the supply is going down. And so people expect that mentally. If you never have any loss within your collection, then it just feels like a money grab, right? Because you don't feel like this thing, You're completely relying only on new people. It's very Ponzi-like. But if you have new people coming in, which is what stories do, right? This is one of the cool things about NFTs based on stories, is that if you're talking about stories and characters, they become more valuable over time and stickier over time, in that people get more attached to them, because a character in a story with a single comic book is just not that interesting. But when you have 4 issues, 10 issues, 20 issues, you're constantly building up fans, and people are becoming more attached to the character. They've invested time in it. And the way we are as human beings, when we learn other people's stories and struggles, they become more and more like a family member. I mentioned that early on. You have to think about characters as stories. As you're developing a character, how do you make people become attached to this character, right? It's harder to do with a single image. And that's what one of the problems with the NFT space is, that you have these characters, but people don't know what it's there. They don't have any real feeling for it, except that this thing can maybe make me some money if I get lucky. So NFT space has become this very beautiful gambling casino of a new type. I mean, that's literally exactly what it is, right?
Why we
Except
call them
it's like
degens. That's why
except it's
the
extremely
degenerates.
dishonest. Except it's a casino that cheats you constantly, and you have to worry about it, which is kind of the fun of it, getting rugged and laughing about it. That was all fun in the bull run. Now it's not fun, and people are just distraught right now with what
A
the
lot of
NFT
people got
space
hurt, and there's
is
still a lot
coming.
of dishonest people out there,
Yeah.
doing this stuff.
Well, I personally feel that the entire NFT space is going to be replaced by storytelling based NFTs. Like, I always thought the NFT space, I never thought it would be JPEGs. I always thought it would be stories, because stories are so appealing. Our brains are made up of stories. It's how we think. It's how we learn to become human being. It's how we describe ourselves as human beings. And so stories have so much more power than people realize. Your brand is a story, and your family is a story. How you think of yourself is all the stories you've told yourself about who you are, right? Stories are incredibly appealing to us, and stories are what create the brand value behind companies, which is worth trillions of dollars. So stories are one of the most important things in the human universe. And so NFT companies over time will be required to do stories. I mean, there will be a few the PFPs and all this kind of stuff, the JPEGs, it's not going to go away completely, but it will be replaced by stories in different formats, whether they're entire comic books or they're books or they're short stories. There's so many different ways to do it. I mean, you could have a JPEG that has the founder reading a story, that's part of it. And we're pioneering all this new technology to do this kind of things and experiment. I think it's like many things in technology. You don't really know what it's going to turn into. So we're trying to create all these cool tools and experiment with doing a lot of things. We're going to be releasing short form comics. We're going to be releasing things that are stories that are done in pieces and parts, where you have to assemble different things, and then the story goes on, so it becomes like a puzzle. There's so many cool things that can be done with NFTs and Web3 that people haven't done yet, that we're working on, and we're building these tools internally, and we're basically making it so that other people over time will be able to use these tools. Eventually, we have something called a creator app. I should have told you ahead of time so you could bring it up, because you want to try to find it while I talk about it. If you go to YouTube and find the Lightning Works channel, you can see it and run it in the background. You just
I'll go look for it. Tell us about it.
Or you could type in Lightning Works creator app, YouTube, it'll come up. So basically what it is it's a Photoshop type app we've been building for the last 2 years that allows people to import their art. It's not Photoshop. You import your art from other art apps, and then you can basically turn that into an NFT. So it's good. It'll be good for like advertisers who just want to make NFTs. I think one of the biggest use cases for NFTs is for replacing banner ads with different types of interactive coupons, little games and stuff like this. It's a huge problem actually in the advertising industry, is that people aren't clicking on banner ads much anymore. So replacing them with something where if you click it, you get an NFT dropped into your wallet, and you can spend it on a discount or whatever. I think that's going to be very useful, and people need apps so they can easily launch these things. Creative people don't want to learn about smart contracts and this kind of stuff.
Here's your video channel. Tell me where you want me to look here for this create. Is this right here, Lightning Works Creator app?
Well, what I see is still the website page.
Okay. Well, you're something's lagging on your end here. So is it the Lightning
Okay.
Works?
Well, if you type in creator app, creator.
Yep, I see something dating back to 2021.
Yeah, that's it. It's the
That's the one
last
right
video
there.
was of December of last year. So it's about a year
Right.
ago.
So I'm looking at it over here, and I can see that you're equipping, this character with different background, different weapons. There's animation, the little starburst. I can see that. So essentially, this means that you can create your own comic character using the assets that are provided. Can you then create your own assets that are?
Yeah. So basically there will be a bridge from Photoshop and other graphic programs so that people can basically draw their characters and then bring them in, and then they can animate them. They can add text. They can add the word bubbles. And that's important because you want to be able to make your word bubbles so that you can do within a few clicks, change it to multiple languages, because we want people to be able to tap into a global market. A lot of people
So
don't
does that
realize.
does that
Yeah.
mean, Jeff, that once somebody makes something, then there's a new comic, the community then curates? Is this something I want to promote to my audience? If you're a portal holder, then you decide, oh, I want to share this particular comic that creator X, has just put into the ecosystem.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, as somebody, what we're looking at is like studios where people are producers. So with the Creator app, you are a creator, you're a producer. You may have a great story that you want to write, but you're not an artist. So what we allowed you to do is to put together a team of an artist, a colorist, the animator, even a marketing team. Then you launch as a studio with the app. You choose the blockchain you want. You choose your scarcity. You make it so it's multiple languages. You add your animations, your interactivity, and then your team can basically launch this as a comic book, and it can then be sold on the blockchain, and then everybody gets paid like automatically. Like every time there's a sale, then the whole team gets paid, which artists love, because right now artists generally are abused by these big studios that run everything, and then they have to beg for their checks every month. It was just in the news yesterday that one of the bigger comic book studios declared bankruptcy, and they owed $76,000 to various artists, and those artists, they were even saying, are probably on the bottom of of the totem pole as far as getting paid. There were several artists that were owed between $12,000, $15,000,
Yikes.
$18,000, and it's one of
Yikes.
the, it wasn't Marvel or DC. I actually forgot the name of it. Right now it starts with an A, but it was in the news yesterday. And what's also really interesting about this, that a lot of people don't realize about the comic book space, and I was alluding to it in the beginning, is that they owed $76,000 to their comic book artists. They owed up to $50 million to other people, studios, movie studios, camera people. The list is like incredible of what they have, but so basically, there was less than 1% of what they owed to was their comic book artists. 99% was everything else, which goes to show where the market really is with comics. And what people don't understand about Marvel and DC is that they're making comics. They don't even own their IP anymore. They're owned by Disney and other companies owned by Disney. They have to license this back to make their comic books. And so what's important to understand in our realm is that it's incredibly difficult for anybody in the regular world, the Web 2 world, to start a successful comic book company, because 99% of your profit, your money, and your actual business is not even the comic books themselves. So taking that into a Web3 position, well, we have what we call green lightning. The idea is that people launch their comic books with our platform. They make money doing this, but it's the IP that we want to help people develop, find different ways to develop their characters, get them onto T-shirts. We want to sort of help people structure their comic books in such a way that they can take it as a script to the movie studios. Many people have noticed there have been like dozens and dozens of comic books that are being made into movies and in Netflix shows. They're scouring the world for good story ideas. And comic books, there's no better way than a comic book to take your idea to a studio so they can understand it and see it. Like,
And we
imagine
need new
yeah,
ideas, or else we end up with She-Hulk, right? Which
yeah.
is just it's like Marvel is running out of ideas. Jeff, I
Yeah, I
want
mean
I
that's
want to
that
we got to
would we
wrap
could
this
talk
up
an
here.
hour about what's going on and what Marvel and DC are doing wrong right now. But the main thing about that is they're doing everything so wrong that it's left this incredible
Yeah,
opportunity open to
right.
companies like us to come in.
So here's the website is lightningworks.io, and the collection here on OpenSea is linked to from the site. Make sure you go to the authentic collection there, because there's scammers out there that will sell fakes. The floor of the items that are out there right now is 0.4469 ETH, and you can grab a common. You can see here on the tiers that there are 5 variations right now, and this is kind of fun. When you go into these, you can actually click on the outside border, spins a little faster. You can
Mhm.
click and hold on this border. I'm making it rotate right there. This kind of shows you some of the different rarities and the logo of Lightning Works. And as we wrap up, Jeff, tell us what you intend to do within this ecosystem right here, because there's a lot that can be done with smart contracts just within the NFT on OpenSea or any of the marketplaces.
Yeah. So what? So we've done our portals, right? And we launched right during the FTX thing. We sold it out in 24 hours. The
Mhm.
price is about 6 times what we started. Very few people know about us still. So we're going to do rug radio, and we're doing a lot of this. So people that are hearing this, you said it would be tomorrow, are very very early, right?
Yeah.
So
I
if people
minted
are,
3, by the way. I minted 3, and I got
yeah,
two commons and an uncommon.
yeah, that's really cool, and you paid for those too. I
Yeah,
was
I
very
paid for
excited.
them.
So
I understand what you're doing here, and
yeah,
I participate in a lot of NFT projects, but I understand clearly what you're doing. Previously,
yes,
we had our friends from Macroverse on the show, which I've introduced you to them because you guys are all working the space but doing different things. I'm actually an advisor on their project, but just because I'm an advisor with the one doesn't, I want to explore all of it. Right. I think
yeah.
there's a
So
way for everybody to thrive. So what can
yeah,
we expect? What else can we do here on OpenSea that you'd like to implement?
okay, so we have basically 3 things right now that are launched. We have the portals, and then we have 2 limited editions. We have one for New York Comic Con and one for Art Basel. We did with just very few, and people are kind of ignoring those right now. They don't even know. A lot of people don't even know they exist, and there's a lot of fake stuff, Lightning Works fake stuff on OpenSea right now. So be sure that you're buying. We've already had people buy stuff that's fake. What's coming next is our first comic book, Siege World Zero. Probably in a week. Maybe we'll end up delaying, but hopefully in a week we'll start selling that. There's not going to be a great urgency to do it, but it's going to be a lot of fun because it's going to have forging, and it'll actually be a comic, so you get to see what it looks like, and we'll be selling it cheaper at first. The price will go up, and I think that we'll really have a lot of fun with that. Everything that we're doing connects to our video game. We have a video game called Siege Worlds. We've invented a new type of engine that allows something that no game in history, as far as we know, has ever done. It allows us to have hundreds and hundreds of enemies all at once in multiplayer player mode. So it basically accomplished my personal dream of creating a video game where you can have a bunch of friends that play together and fight an entire army. The idea is to try to replicate like the scenes in these kind of comic books like Avengers Endgame or Lord
Mhm.
of the Rings, where it's like you and a bunch of superheroes fighting a whole army. Each one has its own AI, and I'll show. We're going to publish a video very soon. I'm making it probably today or tomorrow, basically showing how it is. It's, as far as we know, like I said, nobody's ever done this, and it's really cool. It's going to work in VR, so you can imagine like fighting a whole army of enemies surrounding you with hundreds and hundreds at once. Our comic books are connected with that in different ways. So for example, in our comic book, you're going to get a weapon that's an NFT that's inside the comic book. There's an Easter egg you have to find, and if you click it, it'll drop an NFT weapon. You'll be able to use that within the game, or you'll be able to sell it. If you get a high enough tier, you'll get multiple really cool rare weapons that relate to the story and to the games. There's so much cool technology that we've done and we're developing. But the most important thing of all that I haven't even mentioned it is that all of this is going to be working without any apps or any downloads for newbies. And this is the key element that's going to revolutionize the entire NFT space. So right now, I can walk up to people. I think I did it with Travis actually, and all I have to do is show you a QR code. You scan the QR code with your phone, and within 20, 30 seconds, you're going to have a wallet with an NFT freshly minted that's in OpenSea, inside WhatsApp, or it works in Discord too, and we'll make it work in Signal and Telegram. Basically what we've done is we've created a system where people do not have to have MetaMask. They don't have to learn about private keys. They don't have to learn OpenSea, because you can do everything on OpenSea with simple text commands like sell NFT on OpenSea. You don't have to learn Coinbase, because there'll be an on-ramp through our partner Gem, so you can basically get your NFTs, you can get your crypto for gas and this kind of stuff just through very simple text commands. You basically don't need any of this crypto stuff, which basically opens the market for NFTs to the entire world very, very easily.
I'm pretty sure that you did this with me, that this is the
Yeah.
Divvy Go wallet. And
Yeah.
you said, hey, try this, create you got a username, and it sent me, are you still doing this where you get $5 of Divvy and $5?
Yeah, I've been giving away $5 in Divvy to my friends and $2 in Matic. I still need to talk about Polygon, I have like so many people I need to talk to that want to partner with us in different ways, because we're trying to decide like which layer 2 blockchain. I've thought about talking to Wax again. I talked to them early on and they didn't want to work with us for whatever reason. And so I got annoyed. So I wanted to work with somebody that I felt was more visionary.
I can connect you up there if you want the hookup. Jeff, this looks great. Lightningworks.io is the site. I'm looking forward to airdrops and opportunities to mint, to forge, and to see all the things that you've got coming our way. So thanks for coming on today and sharing this with us.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having us on. It's always fun to be on your show.
Looking into the future, what do we see? It's lined with digital collectibles, we call them NFTs. Games, trading cards, digital art, and those crypto kitties. Joel and Riles are the hosts, you'll know. Joel and Riles say this won't blow. They're locked and loaded, so ready, set, go! It's the Nifty, really kinda spiffy. The Nifty Show.